This is the Amp Hour podcast, recorded February 13th, 2012. Episode number 82. Vecordious Vacation Variorum. Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
And this is Jeff Keyzer from MightyOhm.com.
Yes, sir. The threesome is back.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
and
Jeff.
Chris is back and sounding rather under the weather.
Under the weather? No, I'm above the weather, man. I'm chilled out. I'm lucid. I'm cool.
Yeah, he's been drinking, folks.
Yeah. He's had a few Mai Tais. So when did you get back, Chris? Did you just get back today?
I got back about 2 hours ago.
Oh, I see.
Three hours ago. Yeah.
Oh, dedication.
Yep.
Yeah.
And although Dave doesn't believe me, I'm not planning to be on the whole show. So
Right.
We'll see.
You won't be able to help yourself.
yeah, we'll see. I'll be like,
You're a nerd.
I've had enough of you guys.
Well, you sound very relaxed, Chris.
I am. Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, it was awesome.
Then you'll have to go back to work, and then reality sets in. Again.
Yes. And I did.
Are you going back to work tomorrow?
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Yeah, I'm going back tomorrow.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I took a
sucks.
chance to write about it last night at like 10 p.m. in the airport about getting back to work, and
See, you're a hardcore nerd.
I know.
You're writing a blog post in the airport. You just got back and you couldn't help yourself. Got off the plane. Oh, I got to open the notebook and start typing.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, it finally came in handy.
I thought you weren't going to take the notebook.
We took my wife's notebook. It's just a little netbook, and we didn't use it much at all, really. I mean, we mostly used it for Yelp and finding restaurants and stuff like that.
Okay.
The occasional
That's what you use a
crisis.
smartphone for.
Yeah. That's what I was using, and it was nice being in Hawaii too because they had service. So.
Right. As opposed to mainland US? They don't have
No.
service?
I mean, like if we went to like Costa Rica or Belize or out of the
right.
country.
Right.
Or you went to the Maldives or something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Met a lot of Aussies out there, though. There's a lot of Aussies in Hawaii.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know.
You guys are
It's a
everywhere.
favourite destination of us.
I know.
Ours.
Yeah. It was great. So what's been going on here?
The cheaper, the people who have less money go to Fiji and places like that. But if you're a bit more world-heeled, you go to Hawaii.
Okay.
You know, it's funny. I went to Hawaii on my honeymoon, and people were telling me for months before I went, like, "Oh yeah, Hawaii's so expensive. Everything costs so much." But at the time, I was living in San Francisco, and we went to Hawaii,
Right.
and it was like, "What's the big deal?"
I know.
It's exactly the same
slightly
as
less,
back
yeah.
home.
Oh, it's not that expensive.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. Now it would probably be different because compared to Austin, I'm sure Maui is a bit more expensive. But
Right.
at the time, the only thing that was really novel, I think, was gas was over $5. But
Yeah.
food
Gas.
and everything were about the same.
Petrol.
Yeah,
Petrol.
Well, you can't get any
Petrol, yeah.
99-cent burger, can you? In Hawaii,
Yeah.
they don't have all that cornstarch enhanced.
No, they do. Don't kid
burgers
yourself.
in.
I had a.
If you go to Macca's, but
Yeah.
generally the food's very good in Hawaii. You can get all this organic produce really quite affordably and cheaply. It's great. Because they're kind of self-sustaining, so they,
they're
all their
not.
a lot of local produce.
Well,
No,
I think it
they're
depends on
not.
what it is.
It depends on where you go
If it's
and,
fruits, they're all locally grown. I've
Nope,
had some of the
wrong.
most amazing. What are you
Wrong.
talking
You guys
about?
are all wrong.
Where the hell were you eating, Chris?
No, I was eating the same places you guys were. It's all imported. Maybe it's changed even in the past couple of years. It's just cheaper to import from, just like it is in Cleveland or anywhere else.
Right.
Import from Chile and a lot of southern hemisphere stuff. They said only 20% of their produce is local. So.
Right. Oh, did I tell you the story about? I've got a story. got to tell it, right? We were driving around Hawaii. I can't remember which island it was, whether it was the Big Island or Maui or whatever. Anyway, we're following the GPS to this restaurant, right? And the GPS had been horribly unreliable for some reason. And we thought, oh, where's it going to take us? But, it actually had the restaurant we wanted actually in the GPS, in the database. So, great. Okay, so we're following the thing. And we're going through all these back roads and everything, and then it says, you have reached your destination. And we turn into this driveway, and it is this paddock filled with porta dunnies.
What is a porta
You probably don't know what a porta dunny is.
Idea.
It's a portaloo. It's a portable toilet. You know those that they have on construction sites?
Yeah.
Right,
That's where it led us. And you have reached your destination in this American voice.
Eat up.
And it's like, eat up. There's portable toilets. A paddock full of portable toilets.
Wow, that's gross.
It was ridiculous. For some reason, the GPS was just useless in Hawaii. I'm not sure what the deal was.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely hopeless. Anyway.
Well,
there you go.
Vacation's over. I'm excited to get back. I don't know. It's we'll see how I get back into it.
You sound so excited. You're going internally berserk.
Internally berserk.
Internally berserk, because on the outside you're all chilled.
Oh yeah. I don't know, man. It'll be an interesting adjustment. It's. I mean, like even 10 days away from electronics and everything. It's
oh no! It's heaven forbid.
I mean, it is a big deal, right?
You know
for a nerd, yeah.
Who?
The last time I went to Hawaii, I actually went to Maui. I quit my job about 3 weeks later.
Right.
Oh boy, here we go.
And I'd like to think there wasn't really any link between the two, but that was definitely the reason that my boss at the time gave for me quitting. It was like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
you tasted what life was like away from electronics for a couple weeks.
Right.
And now look what happens.
Yeah, if Jeff keeps appearing as the guest or as the host on the Hamp Hour, you knew what happened to me. I call it the Hawaii sickness.
You're sitting on a beach somewhere sipping Mai Tais like Milton from Office Space.
Yeah.
Milton, from Office Space.
And I said, no salt.
No salt, yes. I'll burn down the building.
The longest I've taken off from work is 2 months. I went on a world trip.
That's crazy.
2 months. I had all this holiday saved up, and what are we going to do? Well, let's blow it all. Let's go on a 2-month world trip.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is a lot, but it flew by. You just don't notice it. You get back and you go, oh, geez, it seems like I just left. And,
yeah.
I find that it creates, like your coworkers don't usually appreciate that very much. And anytime I've ever left for a long period of time and come back, I think it's always been a little weird to reintegrate. So
it is. It feels a bit weird.
Yeah,
yep.
2 months is a long time.
Yep. So if anyone's been away for longer,
that'd be interesting.
Like that, then...
I mean, there's always things where like FMLA and that kind of thing, which is the Family Medical Leave Act, at least here in the States, where it's if you have like a medical problem, or I think they even count like births
at Intel.
And stuff.
I interned at Intel a couple summers while I was in college, and the big thing was for the guys that had been there for more than I think 15 years could take a 6-month sabbatical, and so all these 6 months. So
6 months at Intel, that's like a process node almost, like that's a big time, right?
Yeah, right. Well, these guys would take their sabbatical, and the problem was that as a young engineer, you'd want to talk to these guys, and it's like, oh no, Phil's out on his sabbatical. When will he be back? Oh, 4 or 5 months. And of course, my internship was usually about 3 months long, so they were just MIA.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how common that is in large companies, but Intel definitely had a sabbatical program, and I think some other big, large semiconductor companies do that for their, the guys that have been there for a really long time. Of course,
we don't call it a sabbatical. Well, we do call it a sabbatical here, but I haven't heard of it in the engineering field here in Australia. But companies are, if you want to take time off unpaid, you can actually do that at most companies that are fairly flexible. So
that's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah. But if they, if you're going off to work at on something else that. If you want to take a 6-month world trip, you can usually negotiate with them to take it at no pay or something like that.
I've actually heard of that in the States too. So, for as bad as a reputation as the U.S. has, I know some coworkers that did that. I had a coworker that went to start a machine shop in Mexico, of all places, and he was gone for a few months, and then it turned out that it didn't work out, and he came back and it was fine. And actually, I think he was kind of better for the experience, because he got it out of his system, right? It wasn't right on his mind all the time. So, it's funny. The U.S. has such a bad reputation for, vacation, etc. But I think if you're a good engineer, companies will tend to do somewhat extraordinary things in order to keep you, unless you're working for complete
I think so, yeah.
D-bags.
Well, I used to know someone at Altium who went to start their own software startup company, and they actually took leave of absence from the company to go start their own software startup. Huh. It was in a non-competing business, but they liked him, so they said, "Yeah, fine, we'll hold your job open for you if you want to come back. If it doesn't work out,
wow,
yeah." So
that's great.
That was actually something I had looked at. I had been reading a lot of like Clayton Christensen, Innovator's Dilemma and stuff like that. And one of the things that I had looked at was actually having a sabbatical, not like an external sabbatical, but actually an internal one. And I was trying to convince Keithley to actually do that, and they were looking at it seriously. But basically, the idea was, if you have an idea, if say you get struck by inspiration, why wouldn't you just give your engineers 6 months to go sit in a dark lab and tinker on something, and just try and crank something out in 6 months? And I still love that idea. I mean, just like if you have an idea that's really solid and you can prove it in some way, whatever it is, even if it's just a PowerPoint slide set, right? I love that idea of just taking 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is, and just taking a technical sabbatical and just going to crank on something really cool. And I mean that's almost like who else does it? Like Google does that maybe. I mean they kind of do that with their 20% time, but it's more concentrated because I think.
But you're paid for your 20% time, so you're talking about unpaid.
No, right? I'm talking paid because it would be for the company, and then the idea would be it would be because hardware is a little different than software. I mean, and this is probably a point of contention, but the idea being that if you're interrupted with software, like. I think software guys are better with context switching. If you're interrupted in the middle of a layout, though, you're screwed. I mean, I think you blow half your day then, right? So if 20% time is 1 day out of the week, and you get 1 day out of the week to pick up where you left off on your layout and start cranking on your layout again, it's really tough, right? So instead,
I
take 6 months.
I disagree. I think that the problem is that if an employee goes away for 6 months, I think it's pretty disruptive, especially I've worked on a lot of really small teams, and if one person's not there, it has a really big impact on everybody else. I personally think that the 20% thing would be great in hardware. I would have loved to have had Fridays. I mean,
we're trying to be selfish here, right? We want these sabbaticals, right? Come on.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, rather than just go away for 6 months and work on something different, I think I would have a really hard time going back after that, and to me it would be even more jarring to like completely change focus like that. But if I had like every Friday to work on something fun while I was working at a corporation, I would be one happy camper. I think that would be awesome. And I mean, given many companies, Fridays are not exactly the most productive days of the week.
Right,
often. Then you actually give people an incentive to stay late on Friday because they're working on something that hopefully they actually enjoy working on. I think that would be awesome. Like, in fact, if anybody knows of a company that actually does that in the hardware business, I would love to know about it. Because I think culturally...
Jeff wants some new work.
Culturally, that would be
it's a good
phenomenal.
Sign.
It would be absolutely phenomenal. I understand where you're coming from, and I mean, yeah, sure, having a 6 month sabbatical to kind of do like a little startup kind of a thing in a larger corporation could potentially be interesting. But if you give me a little bit of time each week, I feel like I'd make better use of it myself.
Well, yeah, and we looked at that. I mean, I looked at that. I was pushing for this a long time, and I still push for it. But the context switch is really tough. I mean, you're right. It's easier if you have a whole day, but
you context switch so much just in a regular job. I mean, you try to get your layout going in the morning, and then 10 o'clock, somebody calls you with some customer-related issue. No. Like somebody calls you with some customer-related issue, and then you get pulled into a conference call. You have to sit on for an hour while people talk about stuff. And then noon rolls around, and it's lunchtime, and I've certainly, I know exactly what you mean about context switching, and I think a day in the life of the average engineer, it's really, really rare for an engineer to be able to focus on one task for an entire day. I think that's unusual. I mean, certainly...
Oh, yeah.
In my career, that's been very, very unusual. I would love for everyone to just go away. And actually, it's funny, my wife...
You heard it here first, folks. Jeff Keyzer wants everyone to go away.
An engineer wants everyone to bugger away and leave him.
Headline.
You thought I was so different from the rest of you, but I'm not. My wife actually works from home quite often, and she really values it because it gives her a way to get away from people coming into her office and bugging her about stuff. And she still gets the same amount of work done. In fact, she's more effective when she's at home, and she gets rid of all that noise that's kind of pulling you away from what you really want to be focusing on. I've had the same experience. The problem is that hardware engineers can't work at home, which I think is one of the great tragedies of doing electronics design, is that usually you have to be surrounded by $250,000 of lab equipment in order to get your job done.
Dave's okay, right?
I don't know.
Dave's okay.
A lot of jobs I've worked at, I've had a better lab at home than they've had at work.
You know, it's in RF design, that's not true.
Oh, yeah.
It would be really hard for me to build it. And believe me, I have thought about it. It would be really difficult to get anything near the same capabilities at home.
Couldn't you just borrow a couple pieces from work, Jeff, and be like, oh, well, my lab at home needed this vector vector analyzer, whatever.
Maybe not out of the question. Usually I'd bring my projects into the lab. I think that's much more common.
Right. It makes you share better, right? The kindergarten really kicks in at that point.
Companies generally don't like their assets, their capital assets leaving the building. I find that's the one thing that will get people really upset at you.
Yeah.
Speaking of RF, shall we get on to some news?
Sure, yeah.
There is we're not sure how to call this one, are we, Jeff? We had a little mention of it before the show, and it comes from Sign-In from the forum, if I've pronounced his username correctly. It's a spray-on RF antenna. I kid you not, folks. It's a spray can that of these nano capacitors, thousands and millions of these nano capacitors you spray on, and it supposedly, they call it a wireless antenna, and it supposedly increases the effectiveness of the antenna you're using. And we're talking, they're talking orders of magnitude kind of stuff, like it's magic. And you've got to watch this video. There's this sort of like a promotional video, but it's like a fundraising capital venture kind of presentation video, and the guy, you said he was creepy, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Or it was somehow creepy.
First off,
this video.
This is one of those times that I wish the amp hour had video, because then you could actually see me turning blue as you're talking about this.
Right.
But the video... there's a lot of comments on YouTube about, the production quality of the video is not particularly good, but that's not the problem that I had with it. The video is just weird, and it's because I watched the entire video, which is 12 minutes long, waiting for them to at some point talk about some technical detail,
or alternately to be like surprise or April Fools,
and I was waiting, and I was so unfulfilled once it was done. It left me with this really weird taste in my mouth. Like, what?
You should get some spray on Detechnifier or whatever.
I think this is 100% bullshit. I think there is no. So my favorite.
No.
He's like disciplining a puppy.
My favorite line from the video is that the electricity jumps from capacitor to capacitor and finds its happy spot and launches into space. And the word "happy spot" should never be used in an engineering video.
Maybe like a porn.
But they are doing the right stuff. He was saying. And saying, and we've had government representatives test it out with, of course, no further detail of what the government department is.
The government probably sent them a 20-page memo about
classic.
Why this is completely not applicable to anything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what these guys are doing, and I mean, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe there's some nanomaterial thing or something. The problem is you watch the video and you just get the sense that these guys have no idea what they're talking about.
And they're marketing kind of things.
That's right.
Yeah.
So maybe the guy that's giving the presentation is a sales and marketing guy, sure, but I just don't.
Well, he's not very good then, because he's very nervous and doesn't know how to speak with enthusiasm or anything. So he strikes me as an engineer.
The best part of the video, though, is the spray paint can that has the spray on antenna label on it. I honestly, I went into this with an open mind, and I was punished.
Here.
I was punished so severely for that.
That's funny. There's this. If you guys ever watched the old Batman, like the 1960s Adam West Batman.
Oh yes, that's so
the
bad,
movie, right? And like they actually have like shark spray and all these other type of sprays, and that kind of reminds me of that.
Pam.
Yeah. They had like all these readily available sprays to defeat guarding animals, right? Like sharks and monkeys or whatever else.
It is not implausible that there could be some kind of a spray-on antenna, right? I mean, you could spray a conductive material in a specific pattern, or you could spray.
There might be something in it.
Yeah, I mean,
I will give them the benefit of the doubt too. There might be.
I think that a spray-on antenna is possible. I don't think that these are the guys that are going to give it to you.
And I think it's hyped up and exaggerated, and there's no real engineering A/B comparison tests in this. It's all, it's all marketing BS by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
So, very vague terms, and he throws out a few numbers occasionally, in TBMs or something like that. But, it doesn't provide any, graphs to prove it or any,
No, there's no data.
Scope screenshots or anything. There's no data. There's nothing behind it.
There's not even like a nice infographic to explain what's actually happening. There's a low quality.
Because I don't think they claim to know really. I think
we found this.
They're stretching.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a discovery, We're not sure how it works.
That's right.
But
we didn't invent it. We discovered it.
We discovered it. That's right.
Oh man.
Oh boy. Something even potentially as funny as, I hate to mention this, I hate to bring it up, but I can't resist. Chris, both you and I were spammed there, for want of a better word.
It wasn't spam, Dave. Come on, Dave. Yeah, maybe it was.
I was spammed. I was spammed.
Were you too?
Oh, you got the same email.
Yeah.
It was spam. I'm telling you.
It's not spam. I was talking to her on email. But
her?
It was
I was talking to him.
It was an unsolicited.
Non-personal email.
Yeah.
It was not addressed to me. It was addressed very generic, cut and paste.
Yep.
The least you can do, if you're going to cut and paste an email to someone, that's fine, but at least put "Hi Dave" or something like that. I've seen your
enter
blog.
name. Yeah, well, whatever.
Mine actually had my name.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit more special in this.
You're special.
Yeah.
Anyway, what it is, we've been approached by yet another casting talent agency for the Discovery Channel. And they've got a new reality TV show, folks. Yes, and it's about engineering. And yes, it's called Top Engineer. Woohoo!
Yeah,
woohoo! Just like Top Gear, but not.
I was thinking Top Chef. Actually, I was thinking Top Chef. Although they do produce the Top Guns or whatever the hell it is. I mean,
I've just heard about that show recently, Top Gun or something like that. Anyway, it's a similar sort of thing. Engineers compete to build, wacky exploding devices or something, and there's some grand prize which they don't tell you about, and and you can win the title of Top Engineer as if that's going to change your whole life. So. And it reminds me of the episode we had with Joe Grant.
I was thinking that too.
Me too.
Who worked on coincidentally a Discovery Channel show called Prototype This.
Yeah, it's not exactly the glamorous life that
it's not the glamorous life.
The first,
so if you're thinking of entering this, go listen to and
we'll link that in too. I mean, it's worth listening to. I mean, and it's tough because I want to love this, right? But
yeah, I know you do, don't you?
the first thing I was thinking about is all the people. Actually, I think John DeCristofaro was talking about how Dale Dougherty was supposed to be on CNN, the editor guy, her publisher, and all these guys were talking about, well, I don't usually watch TV, and I was starting to think about it, and I'm like, a lot of the engineers I know don't really watch a lot of TV. Per se, I watch like Daily Show. That's about it. I mean, like, I don't watch a lot of TV.
I watch one or two.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I don't think I'd watch this. I mean, I don't even think, like, even with Prototype This, like, I was thinking about who watches engineering type shows, and it's just a really tough proposition because, like Joe said when he was on the show, it's a slow process, and you really have to crank out some, like, engineering is not an easy thing to do in the first place, and then to showcase it and to show, here's my build segment where I easily went from step A to step B. It's like, well, you're going to go to step A to step B, but you're going to do it about 30 times, and you're going to bash your head against the wall each time, right? I mean, like... And
he was complaining that, all the producers didn't like the fact that, it takes you a week to lay out this board and build it up? What?
Right. Yeah.
That's not exciting. That doesn't make for exciting television, It's like...
And it doesn't. And that's kind of the fact of it. And that's what's unfortunate, because I would love to see... Yeah. I mean, all the maker people we see. I mean, like, I would love to see inside their shops and everything, but it's almost like you need to do more of a lifestyle thing than a competition, because the competition side of things. But that's the only thing
that's going to get views. That's the only thing that's going to get the audience in. They're going to have to dumb it down to just blowing shit up, right? Like they do on MythBusters and stuff like that. So that's what it's going to be. Except they have compelling characters who host the show. You watch MythBusters because they're compelling characters. Like you watch Top Gear because they're compelling characters.
Well, if they did like a Cribs type thing instead, I'd watch that.
What's a Cribs thing?
Cribs was this show on MTV back in the day where it was like they walked around these movie stars' houses, and they showcased, I have like a waterfall in my basement, stupid stuff like that.
It could be called Layers.
Layers. There you go. Yeah, I like that. I mean, but it would be...
Dude, you just gave away $1 million idea.
I know. It would basically be Workbench of the Week, or, like Jeff's Flickr pool, which we love. I mean, like that kind of thing, but then do it for shops. I mean, like, show off...
That would be pretty cool. I would watch that.
I would watch that, too.
But the general public wouldn't.
Of course not.
Now, one very interesting thing about this is, did you see the company that is, providing the space?
Wet Design, they're called. I went to their website and I gave up. It was just all animated video, and I literally gave up in 30 seconds.
It turns out
garbage.
It turns out that if you look up if you look up Wet Design on Wikipedia, these are the guys that designed the Bellagio water fountains in Vegas.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, so they are from Wikipedia, a water feature design firm based in
your
LA.
Website sucks.
Their website is not the best, and any website that has music that starts playing automatically has a special circle of hell that it belongs in. But it sounds like they're a fountain design company, so you have to wonder what that means for the show, right?
Well, that makes for exciting visuals. You're blowing stuff up in the water. You huge pneumatic jets of water flying everywhere. That's exciting stuff, right? And that's what the Joe Public thinks of engineering.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Well, if they think about it at all,
but
to be honest.
I wonder if the show is going to be based around doing water stuff, or if they're just using Wet Studios Wet Design Studios as a venue. Maybe they have a really cool shop.
I found a link that says that is the case. That they are using Wet Designs. That's where all the filming will take place, using the state-of-the-art Wet Design facilities in California.
I bet those guys have some awesome CNC machines and stuff like that, right? Because
I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
that's right.
All this hydraulic stuff.
I saw it on Layers. I saw it on Layers last week.
Right. Oh, God. and here's the little blurb. No, you don't need to have an engineering degree to compete on this show, but you must be able to, in capital letters, be able to design, build, test, and integrate an idea into a final product that works, all in uppercase. There must be... these will be fast-paced, hands-on, visceral, in uppercase, challenges.
Wow.
If your experience is strictly behind the keyboard, then this show is not for you, in uppercase.
I agree. I agree with that. I mean, that's what makes good television, right?
Yeah, exactly. You have to be able to build shit, do it quickly, and it says we are looking for visual effects experts, accomplished home shop machinists, contractors, and engineers with background in electrical, civil, structural, and mechanical engineering. I.e., they want the MythBusters cast.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
That is exactly what they want.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course.
They want M5. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they want M5 Studios. Yep. Someone who can build and prototype something in a day from junkyard parts.
Which is impressive in its own right. I mean, it is.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And there was Junkyard Wars, too, right? There was someone else mentioned that.
Yeah, Junkyard Wars, similar things, which is a rip-off of Mythbusters, really.
No. Junkyard Wars was way before Mythbusters.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, way before.
There was another show. They're starting up another show about that. I saw someone post
really?
about that on Google+. Someone had talked about Junkyard Wars being preempted by Junkyard Wars, whatever this new one was. It wasn't this show.
Okay.
Wow.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. And if you have an outgoing personality and are ready to get your hands dirty for the chance to win a grand prize and the title of Top Engineer, then we want to hear from you. Oh, great.
Oh, it was... This other show it's actually by the Mythbusters guys. It's Unchained Reaction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Haven't
I
heard of it.
I like the Mythbusters, and
they're fantastic.
If any of the Mythbusters crew are listening, if you could somehow get me into your shop, I'd love to see where you work. But
they're not listening,
so
Jeff.
would
sorry.
about 10 million other fans.
I have to admit that the Mythbusters.
Jerry went there.
Really?
I've seen photos. It's on her Flickr account or something. She's a photo of her standing at the bench where they have all the blue diagram things in the background and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say
but
that,
she's good friends with Grant, so...
Yeah, that's probably where that comes from. I personally think the Mythbusters was a lot more fun back before Grant and Carrie and who's the other guy? Shoot. I'm showing. I haven't watched the Mythbusters in a long time. Back before those guys knew how to act. Tori. Yeah, back before Grant, Carrie Byron, and Tori knew how to act in front of a camera. It just had this like sincerity to it that I thought was awesome, because it was like these three people who were just from the Bay Area, and I was living in the Bay Area at the time. Kind of awkward in front of the camera. To me, it was just so precious. Like I thought it was awesome, and now it's kind of polished, and I
watched the very first episode the other day. It happened to be on TV, and I watched it, and I went, geez, that video quality is crap. And then I realised, this is the first episode. It was filmed with like a VHS camcorder or something, And it was just, streets apart in terms of just the visual production, film quality. It was... it was really handy-cam stuff back in the first...
It's like early EEV blog days, huh?
Early EEV blog, yeah.
Did anyone get to see Dale on CNN this weekend? I did not. I have not.
No, that's what I was talking about before, Jeff. I was saying that it got John was talking about how it got preempted by...
It got preempted?
By Whitney Houston dying.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Huh.
These things happen.
What, it got preempted or Whitney Houston died?
So it was not recorded? Or
it was recorded but not shown. It's going to be shown next week.
Is it available on the web, or just we have to wait a week for
It'll be, wait a week.
Oh, that sucks. Bummer.
Yep.
Sorry to hear that. Huh.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Well, Dale Doherty of Make was supposed to be on CNN because Dale's doing this big...
Which is, of course, a quality news channel.
Dale got a DARPA grant along with Saul Griffith, I think.
Who's that?
Saul Griffith is the guy who was a part of Squid Labs for a while. He's a columnist for Make. He was the recipient of some scholarship for... He's an MIT alum, and he did those eyeglasses with you have a liquid and like you pull a vacuum on it and it makes custom eyeglasses very quickly. So he's a visionary in the industry doing interesting stuff.
I want that title someday, Jeff. If you could say that about me someday, Chris Gamble, visionary, doing interesting stuff. I still have to do that stuff, I realize, but someday I'd like that to be my title.
Your episode of Layers, it'll have Chris Gamble, visionary.
Yes, yeah, I like that.
Stuff.
I like that.
So Dale, and I think Saul, and I apologize if I'm kind of distorting this a little bit, but I believe they got a DARPA grant to bring makerspaces to high schools, and I think that's what this is all about. There was an article in Make about it in the most recent issue, and it's kind of a big deal, right? I mean, I think that high schools are one place where maker spaces are needed. I also think that universities could use these as well. But he's been getting a lot of publicity, and I think Dale has been working on this for a long time, and it's nice to see it finally come around and actually turn into something that's really quite big, right? And this is a really big deal. So I'm looking forward to seeing that when it finally does air. I'm really sad to hear that it got bumped, though. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we've got some more news, I guess. There's a new MakerBot killer out, which I think it might actually be a MakerBot killer. It's a fully assembled commercial 3D printer for $1,300. And it's called the Cube. Really cute name, and it kind of looks like a cube. You know, it looks like other commercial 3D printers out there, and it's from the big firm 3D Systems, and they've got their own Thingiverse type store where you can buy pre-existing designs, and there's already thousands of designs on there and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's cheaper than the MakerBot, and I don't know about quality, but it debuted at the CES in Las Vegas, and it's $1,300.
It looks okay.
You know,
yeah, it looks okay,
and it looks very cute. I think the new MakerBot has a bigger build platform, and it's 2-color as well. But you know, I mean, everyone's there's going to be a flood of these things, and this is only the start. So
yeah, 3D Systems is actually the one that I was looking at. I'm looking at getting a 3D printer for some of the stuff I'm doing at work. And some of their mid-range and high-range stuff, it's sick. I love it.
I know. Yeah, pornographic.
I'm pushing so hard. Like people at work, I start, they see me and they expect me to start talking about 3D printers and
But their little cube looks really cool. It actually looks
like a sewing
something
machine
you'd buy in a toy shop.
Yeah.
It really looks the part, something that you would have in your home to make 3D objects,
Yeah.
and that's what they promoted as. It's the 3D printer for the home.
Yeah,
Yep.
except
and it comes with
minute.
Wi-Fi and USB.
Wait a minute. So I'm on the website and I'm looking at the design file. So one thing I'll say is Thingiverse is free. So you go on Thingiverse and you can download and I think everything is pretty much licensed Creative Commons too, so you can remix things.
That's right.
So I'm on here and I'm clicking around and I go Speedboat V110 by 3D Modeler, $90.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
To buy the digital file so that you can print this thing out. That is absolutely ridiculous. Like, there is no way when something like Thingiverse is available that I'm going to go on there and spend $55 to download the model for a grand piano. I don't know what these guys are thinking. This is like the bizarro Thingiverse.
This is the Apple model. This is the Apple model. I think.
Well, yeah, they're thinking that because they vet the things and that they'll get higher quality ones if people actually if they vet the designs, make sure they're doable and stuff like that. Then the theory is that you get higher quality designs, but prices like $90 or something. That is silly. I totally agree. So, yep.
You just gotta get people over that hump. That's the key, right? Buying that first app is the killer thing,
Yep.
But I don't understand.
But then it does promote people who have really excellent 3D modeling skills. They could possibly make money out of this. If they go on there, design something really good.
Why am I going to go on there and spend $90 to print out a boat?
But it might be a really good boat, and you might really want it. I agree. $90 is too much.
You could print it out, Jeff, and then it would be like, wow, that's a great boat.
This has to be the app model where it's 5 or 10. It's where it's $5 or something.
But isn't this kind of like semiconductor companies charging for their design tools? Like, this is the kind of thing. Like, they should be trying to sell printers, not try to sell data, right?
Well, they can't
by selling the data. I think they're destroying the possibility to have a community, because you can't have like a community of people who are spending $90 for this model, right? I mean, yeah,
but the app model works, right? That's why apps work.
Maybe.
No, apps aren't at $90.
Not maybe. I'm sorry, but it's a $100 billion industry or something. Okay, works.
Apps aren't
but it
apps
works
aren't $90
because they're low cost.
That's an important point, I think.
It works because they're only a couple of bucks, and people don't care.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
When it's a couple of bucks, people are just going to buy it. Okay, and it might actually get some really professional artists on there who actually design really top quality stuff if they know that they can potentially make some money from it. So there's the advantage. That's what they're thinking, I believe. That's what they're hoping for.
Yeah, they're all trying to get that edge.
Thingiverse, some guy's designed, some kid in his basement.
Well, that's good then. I mean, that's good. That means that an open source hardware thing like MakerBot will have a competitive advantage of being able to.
It could do.
Having
that's right.
The Thingiverse would be that competitive advantage then.
Yep.
I think
this site also has free stuff as well, but there's only like 10 of them. There's a couple of thousand bought ones, but there's only like 10 free ones. So, yeah, I know.
I don't know. I don't think these guys get it, but I
don't care about their store. I care about their 3D printer. It's $1,300, right?
Yeah, right. But
I care about the hardware.
Print with it.
Yeah. Dave's going to work on building the one that he has in his lab.
Yeah, I'm building that tomorrow. Tomorrow is making.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm excited.
I've got my friend in to help me out.
All right.
And we're going to build up. So I'm shutting off the internet tomorrow and going off the grid, and we're going to build our MakerBot.
Everybody who gets Dave to tweet something gets $1.
Right. Oh boy. Anyway, it's cool. It's like $1,300 for a professional, built up 3D printer. Great. And they're only going to get cheaper. I really like this. I love this competition.
My dollars will be going to MakerBot if I buy a 3D printer.
Yeah.
What if this one's better?
Well, I guess it depends on
what if this one's better for less cost? Yeah, exactly. What if it's better for less cost? I don't know if it is, but what if it is?
Then you procrastinate like the rest of us.
What if somebody else comes out with one which is twice as good for half the cost? Would you still go with MakerBot just because they're MakerBot and you want to support
it? In that case, it'll put pressure on MakerBot, and hopefully they'll come out with something that's better and cheaper, and ultimately...
Bingo. That's why I like this.
All right, sure. So in terms of spurring innovation and cost reduction, then sure, these guys have a role in the ecosystem, I guess. By doing it wrong, they show other people how to do a better job. Yeah, sure.
Sorry, so you're saying this cube is wrong?
No, I think... I won't say that their product is any better or worse than MakerBot. It's just the fact that they're charging so much for models really turns me off. Like, I just do.
Right.
I do not like the way that
I can hold
looks.
the distinction. I can hold my opinions separately for their online community thing and for their product. I'm not going to say their product's shit just because I don't like their community, right? But you're free to do that if you want to do that. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean that's like saying that you'd buy blood diamonds because the diamonds look great, with complete regard of where they came from and the people that died and the manufacturing.
Right, there is always a cost to something, right? Yeah.
So. Well, not everything in this world has to be open source and free.
No, I
do not blame them at all for trying to make an app type model out of 3D objects, like a paid app type model. I don't blame them in the
I don't blame them, but I expect them to fail personally.
Ouch.
Probably, yeah. Well, they, yeah.
I mean, like the Pirate Bay just came.
The market will dictate.
Did you guys see that?
Right?
The Pirate Bay just came out with a bunch of app related 3D printable things in a 3D printed world.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The Pirate Bay talked about already printing
I saw that.
and sharing files, right? So there's that's an interesting point to it. That's the next
do these
wave of
3D
piracy.
printed files have DRM? Like, do they have digital rights? So if you try to copy someone else's digital files, will your printer not let you print them? This totally tastes bad in so many ways. But yeah, I mean, sure, if they make a quality printer, more power to them. I mean, that's great. But I don't know. This totally pushes my buttons, I guess.
I don't know. I don't mind paying, if it's a professional model, I don't mind paying a reasonable price for it.
Sure.
Why not? But ultimately, the market will dictate who wins in this thing, right?
Yeah.
As in terms of the community and sharing of models, the market will work it out itself. So it doesn't matter who's doing what and who wins or who loses. The market ultimately decides. But for the actual printer itself, the 3D printer is here. Like totally kits are gone, as I predicted in my video quite some time back when MakerBot got their funding.
At a jungle gym, if people don't remember.
They don't have a kit anymore. You can't buy the MakerBot kit. Or maybe you can, but the new one is only available built up. And so you won't get MakerBot kits anymore. And, things like the rep wrap, I think the rep wrap won't go anywhere because when these things are so get cheap enough, under $1,000, people won't want to build their own. They will want to just use one of these commercial ones. I guarantee it.
So that actually plays really well into the next discussion point that you had here, Dave. You had something to say about your power supply kit.
Ah, yes, I did. Why does it play into that? Well, a kit. Yes, of course it does.
Yes.
Yes.
So your kit,
but
or
mine is not a mass market product, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So
I don't know,
totally
an EV blog power supply kit in every home and chicken in every pot and car in every garage.
Yay, that's my goal, yeah.
Well,
just like Bill Gates.
So you've
Microsoft software in every home.
So you're thinking that you don't want to make a kit now, right?
Well, yeah, I was originally want a kit. I got infatuated with the idea of doing a kit again, because I haven't done an actual kit for a long time now, and I kind of got infatuated with the idea, and that drove the project for Through-Hole and all that sort of stuff, and I don't know. Now I'm thinking, it's probably too much hassle, and it's not going to. There's no cost benefit really in doing a kit as opposed to having the board actually pre-assembled. Mm-hmm. It'll still be a kit, like as in, you've got to wire up the case and the boards and the front panel and all that sort of stuff. But it won't, But I'm tossing up between whether or not to have all through-hole components and just actually provide you a bag of components or provide you an assembled board.
This is just like what Elecraft went through with the K2 to the K3 ham radio transceiver, which I know you guys have talked about on the show before.
We've talked about.
The K2 is all solder it yourself, and then the K3, all you do is you take a few sub-assemblies and you bolt them together into a chassis, and you have a professional radio. And, I think it's interesting. Selling kits is not all it's cracked up to be in a lot of ways.
Oh, no.
And I think there's actually a negative cost to offering kits, because if you sell kits, you have to support kits. And that can be a real burden if you're trying to make a product, and especially if you're a very small business. You can't afford to be spending all that time supporting people who are building kits. So I think this is it's a really interesting question. And personally, I think it depends on what the product is. And if it's something that people just want to use and they want to get from A to B quickly, they don't want to spend, a day building this thing, then it probably doesn't make sense. But if people are going to take pride in putting it together, or there's a big cost advantage, which if you're having to go through hole instead of surface mount just to keep it a kit, that's probably not true, right?
Yep.
You're actually paying.
I know this happened for the Arduino, actually.
Yeah,
because they used to sell Arduino. There are a lot of companies who sold Arduino-type kits, and nobody bought them. Nobody wanted one.
Yeah, because after you build one,
there's shelves
you don't
full of
care.
them just sitting there.
It's just not interesting anymore.
That's right.
I mean, a lot of things like that are fun to do once, and then you're like, oh, yeah, that was great. Now I know how that works.
Yeah, that was fun to build up. And otherwise, it's like this MakerBot, right?
That's true.
I've got to admit, it's a pain in the ass. I know I've got to dedicate at least a full day with me and a friend to build this bloody thing up. And all I want to do is print,
stuff.
3D objects and cool stuff, you know?
Yep.
And it's annoying, and that's why they dropped it. But, I don't know. So if you've got some opinion on it, please leave it in the comments. I'm sure there'll be lots of varied opinion. But, it does take... I've done kits before, and... I've had people actually ship me the kit, like, without asking. The kit just comes back in the post with a note on it saying, your kit doesn't work, fix it. And and I found that they've put the voltage regulator in backwards or something like that, and their note says, I tested everything and it's obviously a problem with your design. And it's like, well, you're a dickhead, you soldered the voltage regulator in backwards. It can be bad. See, and I'd hate to have to say, well, sorry, I'm not going to support you. That's what the forum's for. Please go ask on the forum. and then, I just feel bad having to do that. But I would have to do that because I can't. You cannot troubleshoot by email. Have you ever tried to troubleshoot by email? It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible unless you're sitting there, and using the meter and actually probing around. It's just.
Yeah, that's funny thinking about all right, so what does your DMM read now? Three hours later, well, it's 3.444 volts. All right, what about now?
Like
3.446 volts. I don't know what's
mail,
wrong.
There's some people who play chess by mail.
Yeah, there you go.
They send a letter to each other.
There's a Saturday Night Live sketch that's pretty famous of the IT guy, and he comes into the office.
Oh, Nick, your company computer guy.
He spends
That's Jimmy
5
Fallon.
seconds. I think it was Jimmy Fallon.
It was Jimmy Fallon.
And 5 seconds. Move. The problem. Move.
Yeah. You're welcome. That's one of my favorites, actually.
All right, I've got to watch it.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Your company computer guy. It's Nick something.
So, what's your opinion, Jeff, as a kit producer, as a fellow kit producer?
Like I said, I think it depends on the kit. That's my safe answer.
Exactly. Thank you.
I think
I know.
If it's something that's fairly simple to put together, that there's people will get some satisfaction out of building it, and I think the Geiger counter fits into that side where people get a lot of they actually get to build something that does something useful. That's not if it takes more than an hour to build for an average person, then
I think it's too
not
much.
Be a very good kit unless there's something like a huge value add to someone putting it together themselves, or if it's something that's impossible for you to manufacture, like the cost and the labor of assembly is so high that you
too
can't
much.
do it.
Right.
But for something like your power supply kit, I would just go surface mount, use state-of-the-art components. That might even reduce the cost. And then,
how
many people really want to build a power supply? Really, people just want to use a power supply. It's an appliance.
Well, they might want to build it, but they don't want to solder every component.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I mean. I would take the K3 philosophy and have sub-assemblies that get
modules
pushed together, and that's actually there's an additional benefit in that you can actually test each sub-assembly as you manufacture it, and then the user actually gets, or the consumer, gets known good working parts. And I think that's a huge advantage to doing kind of the sub-assembly point of view. That's what I would do for the power supply kit. But, I think it's different for every product or every kit. You have to think about what your users want.
It needs to be weighed up the pros and cons, I know.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you very much. And if you've got comments, please leave them. And I'll read through them all and just go crazy. Yeah. Thank you.
So I have some exciting news. We just talked last show about how I've been traveling so much. I'm going to be traveling again, and I'm actually going to be in the Bay Area this coming weekend. I've got a wedding reception that I have to go to, not my own. I'm actually
Jeff
really
excited.
Mormon. I'm really excited because I'm going to get to see Jim Williams' desk at the Computer History Museum.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this exhibit's been up since, shortly after he passed
a couple
away
of months ago.
last year. But I was reminded of this recently. I forget, I was Googling around and it was like, oh, yeah. And it turns out the exhibition runs through April, so I'm just going to catch it. And so I'm probably going to be at the Computer History Museum this Friday.
Are you going to be in the Bay Area this Saturday?
I am, yeah.
Are you going to the Analog Aficionados party?
You
should, man. Oh, so I've been getting emails from Paul Rako. Paul Rako used to work at he used to be the analog guy at EDN. He sets up this dinner every year, and if people don't know about it, it's an open invite. He just needs to know about who's showing up. But tons of people will be there, and really, Jeff, this is probably really good, networking and everything too.
Even Jack Kilby could be there if he's still alive.
Actually,
if he's still alive.
Well, Paul sends out these emails, and he actually sent out a list of who's going to be there, and just some of the list of people, like Atmel, Texas Instruments, Linear Tech, all these people. Like Bob Dobkin's going to be there, from Linear Tech. That's a really big deal. And then Sue, Jim Williams' widow will be there. I know Bob Peace's son will be there. So tons of people will be there. And even in this email, then, they talked about. Paul Rako talked about printing out that poster that Jaime had done, and they might have a printout of that poster there with Bob Weidlar.
big finger.
Yeah, Bob Weidlar giving the finger.
Giving the finger, yeah.
Yeah, so that might be a giveaway. So,
well,
definitely.
I will certainly look into this. I can't say that I can necessarily make it. I was planning on a side trip to Sacramento, but if I'm in the area, I will definitely.
Well, there's a thing Friday and there's a thing Saturday, so I'll forward it to you. And if there's, I'm not sure. I don't think Paul posts on EDN anymore because he's at Analog Devices now. But
okay, got it.
Yeah. So yeah, big party coming up this weekend, and I was talking to Todd Bailey about going to it, and because he's going to head out there for it, and I'm not going. I'm going out there the following week probably, but I can't make it out this weekend. So it's a darn shame because this is going to be a really cool. It's like I know Jerry went a year ago or 2 years ago, and just
she went.
Great party, just like tons of people, like old, like the graybeards come out of the woodwork, and it's just like Silicon Valley madness.
Don't you think these guys are going to give me a bunch of shit though for being an RF designer and not an analog designer? I mean, they're like, oh yeah, you guys designed
same
like 3
shit.
transistors.
Same shit.
I've heard
Just
these
smells
things
different.
before.
Yep.
No, I'll definitely send me the information. I just picked up a copy of the book that came out late last year. Do you have a copy of this Analog Circuit Design, a tutorial guide to applications and solutions?
No, I know the one you're talking. It was
it came out
or something
right after Jim Williams passed away.
Yeah, it's him and Bob Dobkin, right?
It's edited by him and Bob Dobkin, and I think I was on the computer history site, and I ended up finding a link to this, and I ordered a copy, and it's kind of expensive. I think it was $60 or $70 on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I just got the copy on Friday, and I was really shocked when I picked up the package at my doorstep, because this textbook, which is what it is, weighs almost 6 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
So this is 6 pounds of analog goodness, and it's mostly linear application notes. I think that's pretty much all it is, and not all of them are by Jim, but probably most of them are. And I started tearing through it, and there's some really interesting stuff here. And I started kind of reading it, which it's hard to do because it doesn't really read like a book. But one big disappointment I had is they got rid of the cartoons.
What?
I'm trying to find cartoons in here because Jim is so famous for the cartoons at the end of the app notes.
Yep.
And I guess they edited them them They're gone.
Publishers.
Publishers.
I'm not going to buy it
Come
now.
on. I was disappointed.
And it's only $65 on Amazon, which is not for such a big book.
Yeah, for 6 pounds. I mean, the price per pound is great.
It's pretty good. I
think, granted, I think the biggest negative point about the book that people have been pointing out on Amazon is that a lot of these app notes are available for download for free. But I don't have a Kindle. I don't have any kind of an e-reader, and it drives me crazy to read app notes on a computer screen. So I was like, this looks great
because they're A4 letter formatted.
Yeah,
that's why.
That's right.
They don't fit.
Yeah, and the other thing is that the book actually it's curated a little bit. So the app notes are actually arranged in a particular way, and there's additional commentary that's been added. So it's cool. This book reminds me a lot of Bob Pease's book, Troubleshooting Analog Circuits, which I've had for a while now, which I loved. And that was a book that I'd never heard of while I was actually working in the industry. And then it wasn't until I left and did some contracting that somebody introduced me to that book. And I wish I had found out about that 10 years ago, because I love that book. It's really,
very
great book.
conversational about how to get into a circuit.
I read it in a couple sittings. It's one of those books you can sit down. It's just a couple 100 pages long, and you can just breeze through. And it's great. Bob Pease, R.I.P., was such a great storyteller that the Rip Rap, yeah. He was such a great storyteller that the book is very well written. And Jim Williams has that same gift where you can actually read his app notes, and unlike a lot of app notes, and especially papers in academia, you can actually read these.
I believe you needed an ahem at the end of that, Jeff. You needed a ahem.
Ahem.
I've got a rant about Amazon. Can I?
Yeah.
Who's going to stop you?
I
shouldn't even be here right now. I was just thinking, holy crap, we're an hour in.
I know.
I
told you you'd stay the whole hour.
You were right, Dave.
Nerd,
you were right.
Nerd.
My wife's going to kill me.
In my best ogre voice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nerd!
A new book by Neil Tyson, our friend Neil Tyson, who we love.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And he's got a new book come out. It popped up in my email inbox from Amazon. And it's like, here's the hard copy of the book. Hard copy, real paper, dead tree stuff is only $16 something. And I thought, okay, well, I'll get the Kindle version. The Kindle version is $14.50.
Oh, no.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Give me a break. That's ridiculous.
Publishers are going to hold on to that as long as they can. They will not give up anything.
Man.
Yep.
Come on. $2 difference between barely $2 difference between the hard copy and the Kindle version.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
No,
well.
that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. No, sorry. I've got another rant. Can I have one more rant?
Yes.
Mother, may I? Yeah.
Excellent. I bought one of these little Zoom remote control Zoom things for my video camera. It's a corded thing. You plug it into the side of the camera, and you've got a remote handheld thing that you can adjust the zoom so that you don't have to touch the zoom ring on the camera, so you can get nice smooth zooms without shaking the camera on the tripod. Anyway, I thought I'd get one of these. It's cheap, it's only $30 or something. And I get the thing, and it looks all right. And then I press the buttons, and they go click, 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 like really loud. Oh, no. They've got these really loud tactile buttons in there for the zoom control. And fail. Hello, product fail. The last thing you want when you're in a quiet recording studio trying to record something is a big click from the button as you push the zoom. What were they thinking? Idiots.
Yeah.
End rant. Granted, it's not a genuine Canon one. It's some other one hung low brand.
Well, Dave, if you paid for quality, man, we were talking about that earlier.
If I paid $400 for the genuine Canon one, which is you can buy a whole video camera for that.
They're custom and everything.
Yeah, that pornographic and made of silicon and But
now is this infrared?
No, it's actually wired. It uses the Canon one-wire bus. I forget the name of the bus offhand. It's a Canon, and Sony do it too. It's a similar...
Is it a proprietary
one-wire
bus, or could you design your own interface?
It's a proprietary bus, but no, I don't think it's proprietary. Oh, well, some of the commands, but it is an open protocol. Like, you can actually download what the protocol is. I don't know whether or not it's official and it's been reverse engineered or not, but it's a simple protocol. Canon have used it for 20 years or something, and Sony and Panasonic, and it is kind of like a standard. So I think some of the commands are common between the different brand cameras, but some aren't. Some are proprietary for a particular model.
So you may or may not be able to actually make your own version of this. I mean, it'd probably be easier.
I've been thinking about making my own version. Yeah, because it's really annoying. Every time I want to actually, I've just shot a clip and it's a heap of crap. Right, I've screwed it up, and I just want to delete the thing. I've got to go into playback mode, go through the menu, select the clip, and then press delete, and then OK. And it's like a 10-step process. I don't bother because it's so annoying. I want just a single button remote control that automatically macros through and, actually deletes the clip for me. So much for their professional level camera. You can't even delete a freaking clip without jumping through hoops. Anyway. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was annoyed. It just shocked me. That is it. The first thing I did was push the button. Click. Unbelievable.
User testing is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Anyway, that's our show.
Wow.
1 hour and 3 minutes.
Yeah. It's fast.
No, it's probably a 1 hour and 1. I think we had a couple of minutes intro, but I told you you'd last the whole show.
You were right, Dave.
Chris,
I couldn't resist. Yep. I could not resist.
I know.
I think Chris likes to keep an eye on us, right? I mean,
yeah.
You guys were going a little wild last time, yeah.
You're right.
I listened to it on the plane home today, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
I should mention for next week, we have a guest, a special guest.
Oh, we do. Yes, we can.
Yeah, of course, Jeff is always a special guest as well.
Oh,
yes,
thanks,
guys.
guys.
Of course. Yeah.
Thanks.
But next,
people take him for granted, though.
I know we do. We'll pay him soon enough. Well, as soon as we get paid, we'll pay him.
Yeah. I mean, I do it because it's I enjoy doing it, though. I mean, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't having a good time. Right?
All right, that's good to know.
Welcome to the club. Why do you think?
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's great. That's true,
It
yeah.
isn't for the big bucks.
That's right.
Let me
It's
tell
sure
you.
as hell, isn't it, man?
Oh yeah, I'm doing this for the money.
Although we do love our donors. They are awesome. We should always
Oh
mention
yes,
them.
people have been donating.
Yes,
thank you very
thank you
much.
to all of them.
Helps pay for our new.
Jeff doesn't get any of that money. Don't worry. Anyways, next week we will have Bunny Huang on the show. Is it Huang or Huang maybe?
That's a
Chumby
good
guy.
We'll have to
question,
ask him.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He designed the Chumby. He's worked. He just released the NETV and he hacked the Xbox. So I think we're gonna have a lot of cool questions for him.
I think so.
Yeah,
Including, how did you get the name Bunny?
that is a good first question. Yeah,
Yep. I think his real name's Andrew.
it is. Yeah, and we'll post up a link to a page so if people want to ask him questions, we'll be able to do that. Be able to post questions in there, and then we'll ask them during the show, hopefully. So, yeah, exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is very cool. You'll have to ask him about the NETV does some pretty slick digital rights circumvention.
Yeah, I was reading about that.
I'm not aware of this NETV thing.
Yeah, you have to read up on it. It's
You
just
have to
really
talk to him
cool.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very, very
Right.
cool. He's
Okay.
done some really interesting things, and seems like he's an FPGA wizard. So you'll have to ask him some FPGA stuff. Very cool guy. I don't know if I've ever met him, but I saw him talk at while I was in Berlin over Christmas, and amazing guy, very talented engineer.
Yep, that's what we like. Cool engineers like Mr. Jeff Keyzer of MightyOhm.com.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah.
Like I said, I always enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and
Yeah. Always nice to be had.
well, thanks.
All right,
Catch us all next
all
week.
right. See you guys.
Bye.
I'm recording in Audacity.
Okay,
YouTube.
I just hit record in Audacity also. Let me, for some reason, mine always defaults to not the right waveform view. All right, there we go.
And Dave,
Okay,
just
cool.
so you know, I'm gonna let you post edit because I know how much you were looking forward to adding an Aussie
so much look forward
songs.
to it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, there goes another hour or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys will
Yeah,
have
right.
to have me do it once to experience it.
Right.
okay, yeah, no problem, man. We'll just ship them to you every week if you
Yeah,
want.
No, that's okay. Thank you. Thanks. Forget I said
We
that.
can outsource it to
Yeah.
Forget I said that.
outsource to Texas.
Yep.
It'll have a little bit of a twang on the audio.
Yeah, there you go.
Dueling banjos. You can
Yeah.
pass it through the twang filter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Australia.